The Blaxploitation genre emerged in 1971 with the double whammy of Shaft and Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song. This was a genre made by African Americans for African Americans, initially at least, often focusing on stories of pimps, pushers, and police. Never one to miss out on a trend, horror films soon integrated within this new radical arena of filmmaking, starting in 1972 with the infamous Blackula. Shortly after, author and playwright Bill Gunn was commissioned to helm another black vampire picture to capitalize on the aforementioned movie's success. Gunn agreed to the project after some initial reluctance, but pledged to create a film that wasn't so ensnared in the tropes of either traditional vampire films or blaxploitation films. Something experimental, something that could be labelled art. The result was 1973's Ganja and Hess. Hess Green is a doctor of African anthropology, played by Dwayne Jones, in one of only two leading roles of his career, the other being Night of the Living Dead. As the opening titles kindly inform us, Hess develops a vampiric thirst for blood after being stabbed by an ancient blade. Through an unconventional structure that plays with jumps in time, different narrators and subjects of focus, and chapter divides, we are presented with both the circumstances of how the Doctor received his curse, and how he must try and sustain this new lifestyle. The drama intensifies when Ganja, the wife of his ill-fated assistant, arrives at his wealthy estate and sparks a doomed relationship. It is not so easy to summarize the plot in an appropriate fashion. This is not meant as a criticism, but the plot is of little consequence. It acts more as a skeleton on which Bill Gunn and his crew can hang a meditative display of addiction, guilt, and suffering. Many of the film's memorable shots are simple static close-ups that dwell on one-sided conversations, as Hess takes little interest. The drawn-out effect these scenes create can be read as a simulation of an eternal being's sense of time. Alternatively, it just reminds you of the time you were stuck at a barbecue, listening to some knobhead drone on and on through a poorly told anecdote, impatiently waiting for it to end, so you can sneak off home to watch Blackenstein. Despite commonly being labelled as a blaxploitation flick, Ganja and Hess shares little in common with its contemporaries. There is only one scene, taking place at a bar with some pimps, that outwardly feels similar to that style, besides a few music cues here and there. On the contrary, while Hess engages in criminal murderous acts, his desperate moments of violence do not feel a part of that world. Likewise, Hess is portrayed as a very well-off individual. He is both academically successful and financially secure, owning a large mansion all to himself, and even employs his own personal butler and chauffeur. This was very unusual for the time. Running along that same thread, Ganja and Hess treats the horror aspects in a comparable manner. Hess is never outright referred to as a vampire, nor is he affected by the usual arsenal of daylight, wolfsbane, and garlic bread. He only has a terrible desire for blood, and an uneasy relationship with Christianity, faith, and the Colossus. Bill Gunn's experimental shots and the deeply unsettling soundtrack are responsible for the film's real horror. There are queasy cuts, there are unexpected tilts, there are lengthy shots that hold for an uncomfortable duration of time, framed unusually, such as a conversation where one of the speakers is only visible by their dangling legs, their paranoid ramblings disconnected from their being, as a foreboding and racially charged noose dangles all the same next to them. The music, consisting of harsh digital drones and the clashing sounds of gospel choirs and children, made me suitably discombobulated and genuinely a little sick at times. It is fair to say, with the unconventional artistry on and off camera, doubling down with the raw, personal, cultural, and religious subtext did not make Ganja and Hess a commercial darling. In a wildly disappointing move, because the producers were unhappy with the critical and box office results, they hacked up the film into a shorter reshuffled cut that was released under flashier titles like Blood Couple, marketed as schlockier exploitation fare. It would take many years indeed, for Gunn's original vision to be reinstated as the definitive version of the film, but one could easily argue that the damage was already done.